Hello, everybody, and welcome back, or to, with the Tea with Crema. I'll be one of your hosts today. My name is Chris, and I'm joined by my best friend, Emma.
Sorry, guys, we're doing another flipperoonie in terms of time. So Chris is recording in the morning, and I'm recording at night. So, it takes a little bit of getting used to. But what's up, y'all?
Tee. It's lots of fun. Today's episode is getting ready for all of the fun summer questions that Emma's really been dealing with on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and TikTok and YouTube Shorts. And, she's a viral star and she just keeps getting all these questions about her wedding. So today we're here to really put all the rumors to bed, to really just address all of the misconceptions and the theories out there. I know the fans have theories. And so today we want to address those theories and be really clear about what's happening. Isn't that right, Emma?
Yes, all the theories.
But before we start addressing all these rumors and gossip, we have to do our tea check. So Emma, what you drinking tonight?
I am drinking another puka tea. This is the nighttime tea. I don't know if I've drank this one yet, but it has a dreamy bed of oat flower, lavender, and lime flower. It smells really good, but I'm not trying to drink it. Oh, I can infuse for up to 15 minutes. Huh. Well, we'll see.
Have that real ready.
I know. I feel like it might actually put me to bed, so I'm not trying to drink it just yet because by the last question, your girl might not be awake still. So,
be out here snoring and stuff.
It's all good. What are you drinking today?
Today, I have a tea from Tiny Bee Tea. That's the name of the company. It's so sweet.
Oh,
I know. And it is an oolong tea with papaya, apple, apricot, natural flavoring, and red rose petals. So just kind of like a nice little morning blend type tea. Nice little oolong with some fruit. And it was okay. The fruit actually wasn't as strong as I would have thought, considering how many fruits, and I saw the fruit pieces in the mix, but it wasn't as strong as I thought. Also, have you tried the Puka Love tea yet?
If it was in the sample pack, it has not come up yet.
Because I recently got that one. They started selling it at H-E-B, and that was the one. I really liked it. It was nice. I have it at work, so it's not gonna formally feature on the Tea with Crema, but a little shout out, I've tried a little puka here and there.
Oh, a little puka love.
But yeah, this one was kind of disappointing. It's fine. It'd be like that sometimes. All right. So Emma, we're here. Thank you for coming onto our show today to address all of these rumors and misconceptions. This is a Tea with Crema exclusive, so no other podcast, magazine, YouTube, social media influencer will have access to this information. We'll be here. We're releasing it first. So let's get started. I think one of the first questions on Instagram was, did you move to Japan and now you're getting married to hide a baby? Do you have a secret baby? Is that what happened?
Last I checked, no, there is no secret baby. But, back in the day, they used to send away women. So, this still kind of feel like I went to go see my Aunt May in the countryside for 9 months. And they came
Conveniently.
Came back hella skinny, snatched it.
I'm just saying, the recording only gets from, the chest up, so anything could happen out there in Japan. Who knows?
Can you imagine? Oh, God. That'd be such a nightmare. No, I am not pregnant. But yes, I did move to Japan. And I think in person I've been engaged for a week. I have been engaged.
Literally right before.
Yeah, because I was scheduled to leave on a Tuesday. Isaac proposed a Friday, not the Friday immediately before, but the Friday before that. So I was literally engaged for 10 days. If that.
And then got swept away.
Yeah, it went really quickly. I got engaged, I found a dress, and then I literally hopped on a flight because I was expecting to get married this year, and knew that it was going to happen really quick and I wasn't going to have time to find a dress. But, as everyone knows, move-in was pretty stressful, so I decided to put a hold on that. Isaac was finishing up his degree. He wasn't really able to lend as much of his voice as I would have liked, as he would have liked as well. There was also a 14-hour difference that we were battling with. So yeah, which brought us to our current situation, which is nope, still no baby. That was a really long-winded question to no, I'm not pregnant.
I just wanted to make sure that we address that for all of our listeners, that she did not get pregnant and then was whisked away to Japan as like a secret way to hide the baby.
To hide the baby. Even though, I'm 28 years old, so hopefully it wouldn't be as scandalous for me to have a child, especially with my partner of 11 years.
At this point, people would be like, oh, wow, finally, like, good job. Plot twist, it's more of a scandal. It's been this long. People are like, wow, really? So yeah, unfortunately for the fans out there is still no baby. You will have to wait another few years. Who knows? I don't even know if it's on the table.
The tea, it might be the tea with baby 5 years from now, but who knows? Who knows?
So our next big scandalous question is, are you out here trying to have, turn of the century, big ol' wedding with all the people, all of the luxury, all of the items? Or is homegirl out here trying to like courthouse it and dip out on us? Like, what's happening?
As much as I love a good soiree, yeah, this year I'm actually just gonna have a small little elopement, a cute little courthouse situation, because we are just trying to get Isaac into the country. And so again, like, I was originally planning to have like the big old wedding. I just wanted to kind of get it over with, which I also realized was not the attitude I should be going into this with. I should not be saying like, oh, let's just get this over with and get married. It really should be kind of like really thought about. And, I wanted this to be like a wedding to celebrate us and everything. So this year we are planning to go to the courthouse. Next year we will be officially like getting married in front of everyone. It'll be more like a vow renewal. But yeah, this year it's just, we're going to be whisked away, and then I'll be whisked away in the night again. And who knows, maybe this time next year your girl will be pregnant. Pregnant.
Ooh, then you could tell us we could have a whole episode about having a baby in Japan.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, which like, I think apparently according to my current size, I would be considered like a morbidly obese patient. So yeah, there's like a whole bunch of nuances too. I have a coworker who's currently pregnant right now, and she's like currently the same size as I am, and they were like, yeah, you actually have to go to the US because we're not sure how to help someone like you. So yeah, so she's currently having to go back and give birth back home. Yeah, it's a whole thing. There's like there's a lot that goes into being pregnant in Japan, and like expectations about being certain sizes. So I've heard like really good stories. I've also heard really horror stories. But this is not a baby story. This is not a baby episode. This is a wedding episode.
I know. Well, now we know she's getting an elopement. It'll be tiny at the courthouse. So if anyone wants to join us at the courthouse, they might try to stop us. But it's fine. If there's enough of us, we could just all walk in. It's okay. We'll put everything on hold that day. No more business to be handled at the courthouse on that day.
Yes. Yeah, so small-ish wedding.
Does it mean there's going to be a honeymoon, or is the honeymoon like, you're moving to Japan, Isaac? Like, that's the honeymoon.
That's the tea. I know. So that's what everyone keeps asking. They're like, oh, where are you guys going on your honeymoon? I was like, Isaac's moving to Japan. We can't afford a honeymoon at this point. Yeah. So right now there's going to be no honeymoon. Maybe next year there will be. Because I keep trying to like put off that this is like, I know that we're like officially going to be married in June, but at the same time, I'm almost like, I feel like this is low-key going to be our engagement this upcoming year, because we didn't ever get like a in-person engagement. So I keep not trying to put like so much emphasis on this like current situation where we're just going to the courthouse and they're going to have a small dinner afterward. I just like keep pretending that this is like just for official reasons, which it is. It is just for official reasons, but not all of my friends are going to be there. Not all of the family I want is going to be there. And so there's that issue.
So it's
But
really exclusive. So like if you got an invitation, just know that like it's exclusive.
exclusive. You're one of less than 100 people. So, you know.
In the whole world. I'm just saying. There's like
Whole world.
however many billions of people in the world. And so if you got an invitation, I'm just saying it's real exclusive out here. You should feel honored.
We not just
A privilege. In case anyone was wondering, I did not get an invitation. So there's that.
One out of, 100 invites. Also, he's kidding, guys. He did get an invite. Tickets are just, like, heinous right now. Also, gas prices. I just don't want to think about it. Like, I'm just hoping the world settles, or hopefully we don't hit a recession in the next year, because I cannot imagine what the wedding industry is going to look like. Maybe it'll be good. I don't know, but I'm not trying to put that energy into the world. I'm already stressed as it is. I don't need another stressor on top of that.
So talking about expensive tickets and costs and all of that craziness, let's talk about it. Have you noticed any significant changes in the wedding market in terms of cost? Because I know some people plan their wedding for like years. Like they plan it for years. And so I'm just curious. I know yours is a bit more recent. Like your timeline is a bit shorter. Like, so I'm just curious if you've noticed a change in prices and fluctuations. Because when I tell you everything is more expensive, everything. So I'm just really curious.
Yeah. So like Chris just said, like you just said, I haven't been planning for very long. I was always under the intention that my wedding would be hopefully 10,000 or less, and I just never really knew how little that would actually get me. I thought like, oh, 10,000 is like a very healthy budget. Like I'll be able to, do this and this and this, and 10,000 is not a healthy budget. I think it's a healthy budget for myself. That's actually way more than I would like to spend, but I thought like, okay, maximum, that's how much I'm going to spend. I luckily have had a coworker who most recently got married in December, and so we were kind of going back and forth. We were, talking. She also got married in Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. And so she was like, yeah, like we were like, oh, 10,000 is like our cap. She's a teacher. Her husband is also like somewhere in like the education world as well. And so when she was like, I didn't realize how little wedding that would get me, I was like, girl, yes. And she's like someone that's coming from a small-ish family versus myself. I think I just had unrealistic expectations as to what I could get for that amount of money. And so I do know, though, that because everyone kind of feels like we're coming out of this, like, quote unquote post-pandemic world, that like weddings are getting more expensive, because before it was like you could invite 200 people but like hope that only 150 are gonna show up, so you're only paying for that much per head. Now it's like, oh no, 200 people are showing up. Like however many invitations you're sending out, they're getting read and they're getting received, and people are showing up to the weddings because they're hoping for a sense of normalcy, which then per head, at the dinner, it drives up the cost. And then we have we got to pay people for their services, right? You got to pay people for their photography services, for their flower services. I also didn't realize that when you say wedding in front of everything, it drives up the cost immensely. And so some people are like, oh, maybe I could just say like, we're having a banquet. But then as soon as you show up and it's like a wedding, the people at the venue tend to like they tend to look down on that because there are certain preparations, which I'm like, are there certain preparations, or is it literally just because of one that you just drove up the costs?
I guess it's probably one of those, like, once you've dealt with a few bridezillas in your life, you just kind of automatically are like, no, it's just going to be more expensive because you might be a sensible bride, but they literally have whole shows about people who are not. Yeah. And are super high demanding and high strung. And I think there's a little bit of a culture around wedding planning and, getting called a bridezilla. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense for someone to automatically like up the price, because I can't imagine preparing a location, getting everything ready in order, and then someone shows up and is like, actually, I want this because this doesn't look the way I wanted it to in my head. So we're changing everything. And yeah, no, there's only so many times that I'm going to deal with that before. No, y'all going to get a surcharge just for this being a wedding, just in case y'all do something crazy.
And that's the thing too. So like with this like culture of being the bridezilla, there's this culture of being, you know, kind of like a nightmare around your wedding. I also know that there's also a stigma around certain like states in the US and specifically like Pacific Islander brides and things like that, Pacific Islander weddings. There's certain hotels that just like won't house us. There's like certain things that we do at Pacific Islander weddings that like certain venues are like, no, you can't have that. So there's also kind of an issue with that too. You know, I try not to mention like, oh, we're, you know, a Tongan and Samoan couple and we're doing this, because I know that there are some places that would be like, oh no, that's not gonna happen here, friend. So yeah. So there's just like different nuances, you know. And then there's also like, there was that whole show about like you know, like My Big Fat Gypsy Wedding, which was like they would show like stigmas on there as well, that like people would say like, oh, we're travelers and blah blah blah, and like wedding venues would be like, no, you guys can't have your wedding here. So, you know, I think that there's just like certain cultural things that happen at weddings that some people are just not down with. Some that are like decidedly so, like, yeah, okay, that is a little problematic.
Have you gotten the axe yet from any venues because of being a Pacific Islander?
No, but like I know that like certain hotels won't allow certain things. So like, for example, like when we dance for our cultural dances, we put body oil on ourselves. Body oil is just like really hard to get out of things. Like, I understand why they don't allow us in there. It's hard to get out of linen. It's hard to get out of, you know, like it makes the floor slippery. It's kind of just a safety hazard. So there's certain places that are like, okay, if you're going to come here, like you guys can't use the body oil. Like you guys can't do that. Y'all can't be wilding out here, you know, causing a ruckus and things like that. So I've heard of certain hotels being like, if you're gonna have it here, like it has to be like a Western wedding almost. And they don't say like, oh, it has to be a Western wedding. They just say like, oh, no baby oil, and like no doing this, like no bringing in your own food. That's also a big issue too, is because like I think it's just like a health and safety standpoint, right? You can't be bringing in outside food and then people get sick and they're like, oh, I got sick at this hotel. Like, no, you didn't get sick at this hotel. You got sick at eating this outside food, maybe, possibly, you know. And so it's like, I understand the legality of it, but it's just like at the same time you're like, where can I celebrate? Like, how can I celebrate in the way that I want to? But no, we have not gotten the axe. I also don't freely mention it, so I'm not sure if we would get the axe. So that's something
you can celebrate at the park.
Yeah,
there you can have all of the baby oils and the foods.
Exactly. And it's all your fault. You take it all on. Which I have noticed because we have such big families that we do tend to do it. Like at parks, at like outdoor places, like just places that we won't feel like will, you know, act certain things that we want part of our wedding and certain tradition.
Also, it's just a lot of pressure to be in a formal setting and space. And I think it depends on like the vibe that you're going for. So if you're going for that more formal suit and tie type wedding, then yeah, outside probably isn't the space for you. But I also know that in Texas, I've seen on the internet all sorts of different weddings, and I've been to a few different vibe, energy, style type weddings. Yeah. Most of them have been more like outdoorsy and thusly a little more dressed down-ish.
What do they call
Especially
it? Texas?
A Texas formal.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, did you wear pants? Because honestly, trying to have a wedding outside in 100-degree weather, I'm not wearing a suit. Yeah. You're trying to kill somebody. That's how you pass out and literally die. Not even like fake die. You real die on that.
Not even like a cute, like, oh, it's like heat stroke. Oh no, they dead. They're dead.
Now we gotta call the ambulance. Like, then we gotta feed them. Like, that's a whole... Gotta pay for their plates. Like, no, it's a whole thing. And so I think, it really depends on the vibe. Like, I could imagine doing like the super formal thing, but I could also imagine having like a park ceremony.
Yeah. And like, I've seen all of the above. You know, I've had cousins that got married in the park. I've had cousins that got married really formally. I've had cousins that got like married in that like, in the way that Texas has Texas casual, you know, Hawaii also has like, they call it like your aloha wear, which is literally just like shorts, and a nice Hawaiian t-shirt, you know, it's like button down. And that's like completely fine because, again, weather-wise, I'm not about to make my uncle who's not used to wearing slacks wear slacks. That's not him.
Not for an outdoor thing. And so it just depends on what you're going for. Because some of it, like, people do the formal weddings because it is a once-in-a-lifetime type event.
Yeah.
Thusly, like, yes, we are all going to be a little bit uncomfortable because it's a presentability thing. Where some people are going more for, yes, it's a once-in-a-lifetime event, but the core is I want everyone to have a really good time. And if you know that the people that you're bringing are going to be, like, ridiculously uncomfortable, why force it? So you might as well do something that everyone's going to, like, truly make memories at, as opposed to something where you, like, make memories in a picture frame.
Yeah.
And everyone just feels like forced and stiff and not enjoying themselves to the full.
And I think then, like, people talk about it more that way, right? Like, oh, do you remember that wedding when we had to, like, show up in this dress code and, like, things like that? Like, I know that I've had cousins who got married in, like, really nice settings, and everyone's like, who do they think they are? You know, everyone's gonna talk regardless, right? Everyone's gonna talk if it was a really nice wedding, if it was a really casual wedding, like, everyone's going to have an opinion. And it got to that point too while we were planning that everyone did have an opinion, and it no longer became Isaac and I's opinion, where I was like, no, this needs to stop. Like, Isaac and I need to regroup, and we're not on the same page, or it felt like we were very much so on the same page, but we had to get our family on the same page. Even this, like, casual thing that we're having right now with, like, the courthouse, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm like, guys, like, the original intention of this was literally just to have dinner. And now it's like this whole thing. And so I understand it just being traditional in terms of, like, our hierarchy of where Isaac and I are in our family. He's the baby. Like, he's the last sibling, right? He's also the last grandson of his first cousins, however many of them that there are. Same thing with me. I'm, like, my dad's last daughter. Not that I don't think it means anything, but I'm also low-key my parents' favorite, like, high-key. Both of my siblings would tell you. So I think that there's also that nuance as well that we're kind of dealing with. And I'm the last granddaughter that's fully named after my grandma. So there's a lot of things that come along with that too. So if you know anything about, like, Tongan and Samoan culture, like, we have really big families, we have really big weddings, celebrations are always really large. This one is very intercultural because Samoans do their own thing and Tongans do their own thing. So, like, trying to figure out how are we going to mingle both of our cultures has been really interesting as well. In Samoan culture, the woman of the partnership, you know, she typically dances a couple of traditional Samoan dances. One of them is, like, with a knife. I said no knives because somebody might lose a finger. Tongans also do their own, you know, type of thing as well. We also have our own different cultural dances. Depending on, like, the families, Tongans have a cake ceremony where they basically make, like, 21, I actually don't know how many cakes. It always just feels like there's so many cakes. But you basically gift a cake to the important people. So, like, I don't know how they decide who's important. I think that would be up to my dad's oldest sister to decide that, because she's kind of, you know, our cultural guru in those sort of situations. But also at the same time, my dad has, like, say to be like, no, because he's the head of the family. So there's, like, lots of things that are going on that we just kind of have to be respectful of. At the same time, I want to be respectful of Isaac and his family's culture as well, and, like, what they want to bring to the table and what we want to bring as part of this intermixing of our families. And so, like, I'm not the first Tongan to marry into their family. Isaac's oldest brother is also married to a Tongan. And so I was like, okay, how did they do it? And then they're like, we eloped. And I was like, wow, that seems to be the answer right now. It's just elope. But at the same time, I do want to have this, like, celebration because Isaac and I have been together since we were kids. Like, we've been together for so long. Like, why not celebrate that? You know, everyone's probably thinking to themselves, like, dang, finally. But at the same time, I just, like, want to honor the fact that we've been together, you know, and have been, you know, and have been fortunate enough to love each other for the past 12 years. So, long story short, this has been a very trying time. But it has also been such an interesting time trying to figure out, like, I feel like this has been our real, like, test of, are we able to compromise? Like, are we able to come together?
That's a lot.
Yeah, I feel like I just talked for like 5 minutes. Sorry.
That's like a lot of fun. Maybe that's where Brazil has come from. Because as you were thinking about it, I was like, no, I could understand why, first of all, that like false implication of like, no, you're just being like an assertive woman, no longer like being beholden to all of these additional unasked for opinions.
Yeah.
And when you finally like put your foot down and be like, no, I don't want your set of flowers that meant all this because your family, da da da, and this, that, and the other. And I don't want to have your foods because it meant so much at your wedding and I have to somehow appease you. And just like, I could see how someone could be interpreted to be that bridezilla when you just finally are like, no, I want peonies and we're going to have ribeye with potatoes and there will be a string quartet in the background. Like, when you finally make those decisions and like people don't like them and just like, oh, she's such a bridezilla. And it's like, no, I just wasn't having your wedding.
Yeah, exactly. And which is one of those, again, like Isaac and I were very intentional in the fact that we were like, okay, like if we like him and I pay for all of this, like we're not accepting any other opinion, right? Now, if our parents were to be able to help us and be in a position to help us, obviously they would get some kind of opinion, right? And so fortunately, you know, this upcoming celebration, my parents have helped. So anything that they want to do, I'm like, yeah, sure, you're paying for it. So like, you guys can put in what you guys want to do. Whatever I'm paying for, like, that's what I have a say in. Which then it's kind of like that slippery slope though, because going into this next wedding or this official wedding, you know, I'm already starting to see like what happens. And, you know, I'm fortunate enough that my parents are able to help and our parents are able to be in this place to be able to help us. Because I know that that's not a reality for a lot of people. But again, you do have this like figuring out like, okay, what do you get to have a say in versus like, what do we get a say in? And so that's kind of been one of the things that we're trying to come to terms with is like, okay, do we need the financial help that comes with opinions? Or do we need to just like do it our own way? But that means like no help from anyone. But in my defense, I also believe that like, if you can't afford it, you shouldn't be doing it.
Mm-hmm. So does this mean I can like buy my way into like manipulating parts of your wedding?
Sure. If you
like
are
I can, I want to buy like, oh, I want to play this music all night, so I'm gonna buy the DJ. Like
exactly.
You're like they're like little auction off little items. Like you have a little Emma wedding auction. It's like wedding dress. Who wants to buy it? I'll wear whatever. Oh, that would be so much fun to like. I'm just auctioning off pieces of my wedding and like people get to do all the different things and it ends up being like this hodgepodge of what people wanted out of your wedding. And it's just like, did this work? I don't know. We'll see.
I think that's like kind of from what I remember with helping my friend plan her daughter's quince, like that's low-key what happens, right? Is because you have like the padrinos and madrinas that are of different things, right? So like you have the one that's in charge of the dress, you have the one that's in charge of the shoes, you have the one that's in charge of, and I think that that's like a beautiful way to approach things. But at the same time, now you're in charge of this, so you have the opinion on that, right? A lot of times they do ask, you know, the quince, what does she want? But sometimes it doesn't happen that way. So, I mean, I would personally, I guess I'd be okay with it. But I do know that I remember when social media was starting to like blow up, like, you know, at one of its peaks, it goes to peaks and valleys. But there was a couple that was monetizing their wedding. They're like, we will be the brand sponsors for your blah if you pay for this thing for our wedding. So they're like, oh, Facebook, you want to pay for our dress and then put a Facebook ad on my dress? Like, go for it. You want to do this and like pay for our honeymoon and like put your name on it? Whatever, you know? And so I thought that was such like an interesting way to approach it. Now, you know, it's kind of, we're getting into this conversation around privacy. Like now these people's wedding pictures are owned by these companies forever and ever, which in itself is whatever, it's a bigger conversation. But I thought that was like, I was like, that's so smart. Yeah, like, heck yeah, I would do that. Snapchat, y'all want to pay for this? Like,
mm-hmm. Because like my wedding pictures, y'all can post wherever. Now my like birthing pictures, that would be, no, those are private. That's not going to be sponsored by anyone. Like that's all free from all of those things. We're not auctioning off birthing or child raising, but the wedding is just like, cool, post them wherever. It is what it is. Like,
exactly.
It's a wedding. It's nice. And it was free $99. So
And like, how many brides, like, and how many weddings do you know of that are just like on Pinterest living there for the rest of eternity because one person saw it on the photographer's website and then they kept pinning it, and now it's just living in perpetuity anyway. So like, why not monetize that? If it's
Boom.
gonna be that popular?
That's that social media stuff. Do you have any like final hopes and dreams that you're just really almost non-negotiables, but like more on like the dreamy, hopey side? So like technically if they didn't happen, you would be kind of like, oh man, but it wouldn't be like, the wedding's canceled.
Yeah, I think mine is more emotional. Like, I just don't want to lose the essence of what this wedding is about. You know, it really is just a union of Isaac and I's family, and I just want to keep that at the center. I think that if I start falling into this trap of like, okay, now I have to do this, like I'm obligated to do these things, and now I have, I'm feeling this way about these sorts of things. Like, I just want to enjoy the process. That's what was happening when I was planning in October. I just wasn't enjoying it anymore. And that's when I knew that I was like, this is not going to be a successful wedding if I'm not 100% committed to this and like enjoying the process, because then I'm going to take those bad feelings and those bad vibes and it's just going to follow me throughout the wedding. And this shouldn't be a stressful time. This shouldn't be a time when I'm like near tears every time I have to plan a different aspect of it. So thankfully, with this like mini ceremony, which I almost like is almost like a dress rehearsal for the main thing, I have not felt super stressed. I felt more stressed with trying to get home than I have with the experience itself. So I think my hopes and dreams for this wedding is that everything goes off unhitched. I think unhitched, is that correct? Everything goes off without a hitch. There you go.
There we go.
That's it. That's the word. Without a hitch, and as much as like things are gonna happen. And so I just, at the end of the day, I hope that we have, a healthy coupling and that our union of our families goes off. And, we come together and celebrate this love.
So what I'm hearing is that in an unorthodox like approach to weddings, your rehearsal dinner is a year out. So if anyone has any like juicy drama or confessions, now's the time, because in all the movies it's always at the rehearsal dinner where all of the drama comes up. So just note, speak now or forever hold your peace, because it'll be too late by the time we get to the ceremony, because I do not believe in crashing weddings, but I do believe in crashing rehearsal dinners.
Because I will not hit a wedding guest, but I will hit a bee.
I'm just saying. Oh my gosh. Or we could start like a dance battle between your families, and then it turns into like a blood feud, and it's just like, blood must have blood.
What is it? Justre?
Justrain, Justro?
Yes. Alexa. She deserves
all
better.
Over that dance battle. He just pop lock and dropped it too hard.
Yeah. So, if y'all hear about some of that blood and whatnot, just know it wasn't meant to be that way. Okay. It was also Chris. He paid for that portion of the wedding, so that's why he was allowed to cause this at the wedding.
All the problems. That was me. It was very well orchestrated. You're welcome. Oh my gosh. So any final thoughts on weddings before we move to our rapid fire questions?
Yeah, it's not for the poor, y'all. I am financially poor. It is not meant for us. Like, these big old weddings are just not gonna happen. I don't think that you should go into debt for a wedding, but that's just my own personal feelings.
Yeah, not for one night. Literally one night, not even metaphor. Like, it's literally one dinner.
Yeah.
In one night. Oh my gosh. Well, if that's the case, it is time now for our
rapid fire questions.
Woohoo! So, I did not prepare a wedding themed rapid fire question. It was just something that came up conversationally recently.
Ooh,
but I love a good breakfast. And a big part of like a good weekend breakfast are the breakfast pastries and desserts and like all of those fun things. So, my question is pancakes, waffles, French toast, cinnamon rolls. One is on the chopping block to never be seen ever again.
French toast.
Same. Without
Sorry,
without hesitation.
I feel like I'm sorry. I feel like you were like getting to the dramatic part, but I was like, oh, I already know.
It's French toast.
I do not like French toast. And it's so funny because, like, my mom made French toast all the time growing up. My sister loves French toast. My nephews love French toast. I could do without it. I think it's sometimes just kind of like, it's a textural thing.
It's just eggy bread.
Yeah. Like, I don't get it. Like, are you savory or are you sweet? Make up your mind.
I was telling Shemaine about it. She was like, that was not her choice for elimination. Do you know what she eliminated?
Cinnamon rolls.
She eliminated cinnamon rolls. When I tell you, I almost had to
Shocked.
I was gagged. Oh my God. I almost had to turn off my phone and start again.
Friendship was almost over. No, I
Like
love cinnamon rolls.
Cinnamon rolls. Like, oh my gosh.
They go with everything. They go with a cup of milk. They go with coffee. Like, what's
Dinner,
It's
breakfast,
versatile.
lunch, snack.
Dessert?
You want a cinnamon roll? Have it whenever.
You know?
It was almost waffles. I'm not going to lie.
Same.
Especially
Waffles was a
Belgian
close
waffles.
second. Oh, that's the
Those
kind I
big,
like.
thick. It's so bready and just like, I can't. Mm-mm.
It has to be done correctly. I like my Belgian waffles very crispy. I also I'm not a thin waffle person unless it's, and y'all can like come after me, unless it's Eggo waffles. Even with my Eggo, it has to be crispy. Like, it's almost burnt, y'all, when I eat it. And pancakes.
Emma eats almost everything burnt. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is. It's because I like the crispy texture of it. I think that's what it is. But even like in terms of breakfast pastries, I'm not really like a big like pancakes person. My favorite pancakes are from McDonald's. So I feel like I'm not one to have a good opinion on this. Although I do like the French toast sticks at Burger King. Those hit.
Thank you, everyone, for coming, for listening to this episode. She just said her favorite pancakes were from McDonald's. We are done. The tea with crema is over. We can't do this no more. She said McDonald's. Okay.
No, this is like series finale, not just like season finale.
It's done. I can't be out here with my name attached to these opinions. What? She said McDonald's.
Maybe McDonald's will monetize me and pay for my wedding. As much as I drop them here, honestly, they should be for all this free sponsorship.
It's kind of rude that they haven't offered yet.
Honestly, what the heck?
Oh my gosh. So what is your question that you have for us today? Is it wedding themed?
It is not wedding themed either. It was actually a question that I had seen, I think it was on TikTok, and it was like, this question will break friendships. Okay, are you ready for it? If I tell you we have a meeting at midday, and can we move it forward by 2 hours? What time am I asking you to move it to?
10 a.m. It was at noon, right?
Yeah.
It's forward. Why would it be 2? No, can we move it back to 2?
Can we move it forward by 2 hours? Like, it's 12, so forward from 12 is 2.
No, that's backwards from 12. Doesn't make any sense.
So would you say, can we move it backward?
I would say, can we move it back to 2? I wouldn't say backwards to 2. I wouldn't say forward, first of all. I would say, can we move it up to 10 or back to 2?
See, and I would say, can we push up the meeting to 2? Or can we push it up to 10?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, push up, forward, up, forward.
Up and forward are not the same direction, though. So yes, that is the exact same question. So,
thematically, they're the same.
Isaac and I got into it too. He was like, yeah, so we're moving it to 10. And I was like, no, we're moving it to 2. I was like, well, now this makes sense why our Netflix dates are always confused, because I'd be out here like, can we push it back an hour?
Exactly. Push it back an hour. I'm going to move it to 1.
I still say move it forward. I would say 2.
You literally just proved yourself wrong.
I did. But no, when I first heard the question, it was so funny because when I first heard the question, I was like, yeah, 2. And then I went into the comments and people were in shambles. Just like, they were like, 10 a.m. And they're like, 2 p.m. And I was like, yeah, 2 p.m. And people were like, you are saying that you are literally going to move it forward. And so I was like, yeah, so it's 12 o'clock. So move it forward, like move it towards later.
Oh my gosh. Y'all can't tell something. As long as no one was out here and said 6. Just like, wait, what? I'm sorry.
They were on some Islander time. They were like, oh, did you actually mean 12?
You see, I originally thought that you meant 3 to begin with, and then 2 hours really means 3 hours, so 6.
People be out here.
Oh, man.
Yes. So.
Well, Emma, where can people find the podcast?
You can find our podcast on Instagram and Twitter at The Tea with Crema. You can also find us on YouTube at The Tea with Crema. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, you can find us on Venmo at The Tea with Crema. Stream us anywhere that you stream your current podcast. And we hope to see you next time. Bye!